I also spoke with the chairperson of the PYB, which is really under the ANC, which is the African National Congress in South Africa. Many of us know the ANC for basically birthing black economic empowerment. And he's going to speak to us about what Africans in South Africa are doing to merge with the rest of the continent, to make sure that they find business opportunities, not just political, but business opportunities to liberate ourselves. I also spoke with the chairperson of the PYB, which is really under the ANC, which is the African National Congress in South Africa. Many of us know the ANC for basically birthing black economic empowerment. And he's going to speak to us about what Africans in South Africa are doing to merge with the rest of the continent, to make sure that they find business opportunities, not just political, but business opportunities to liberate ourselves. Our war as Africans is an economic liberation.
Welcome to the program. In this episode, we are in the home. Kindly enough, he's allowed us into his home. Businessman and politician, Mr. Malusi Zondo. He is the national convener of PYB, which stands for Progressive Youth in Business. And we're going to be finding out exactly what the PYB is, what it stands for, and what it hopes to achieve, not just for the youth of South Africa, but for the youth of the entire African continent. Mr. Zondo is also the chairman of Blue Tours, which is his company that focuses on media and mining, correct?
Absolutely.
Mr. Zondo, now I'd like to welcome you to the program. Thank you very much for allowing us into your beautiful home. It's lovely.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Zondo, we obviously, in understanding your profile and who it is that you are, you stand for many different things, but primarily, especially with the focus of today's program, it's about youth in business in South Africa and in Africa. So tell us about PYB. Your mandate is to propel young people in business. My first question is how?
Basically, ours is to ensure that the youth in business participate in the mainstream economy of South Africa and African continent and the world. Remember, Africa is not trading in the isolated island. Africa is trading with the world. But in more cases in Africa, we find ourselves where we are being the country that is giving products and produce to consume, other than the country that, or the continent therefore, that says to us, let's just expand our horizon, let us supply the world with goods and services, other than the world supply us with goods and services to consume.
So we're talking of finished products.
The finished product. Yeah. Remember, we have the raw materials. Take the raw material that we possess in the African continent, make them to finished product, then supply the world to ensure that the supply chain and the value chain is enhanced.
And complete from start to end within our borders.
Because of capacity.
Right.
So this is the Africa that you want to see in the near future. But this begins with us now. What we do today to change the African continent of tomorrow.
Sure. I like that, and we're going to get into more detail with that. But just in the spirit of what's happened today in the world, we have US presidential-elect Donald Trump having beaten Hillary Clinton. And I'd like to start by asking, who are you backing?
Well, this is common knowledge in most countries in Africa and the world that Hillary was our favorite. But I also like Donald Trump. Remember the guy, he put in this country first. He put in the interest of the American people first. That's what he was selling. He was selling...
Let's make America great again. Right.
Let's make America great again.
Yeah.
It's not saying let's make Africa great again,
right,
or Europe, or Chinese great again. So we need such leaders whom they will take their country forward first and be first citizens who are pushing the agenda of their country first. So I like the guy on that particular standing. That he puts.
I was going to say, you like the guy. Are you sure you want to stand by liking the guy, given what we have all been told and seen and heard and consumed in the media?
That's huge expectation. Look, I think he was doing that just to do a campaign to mobilize the voters that he believed that a majority, they would think in that particular way, and then they'll believe in that particular way. I sincerely don't believe that
he really
he's going to build a wall.
Right, and make Mexico pay for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. The wall of Berlin has fallen. How can you raise another wall?
Correct.
Really, in this 21st century,
right,
we want to be the economy. He's a businessman.
Right.
He wants the best for his country. So he cannot have that working alone and in isolated country. You want to work with the world,
Right.
but in the interest of American people.
Okay.
So there's nothing wrong with that. So we should defend our own territory as well and make Africa great again as Africans.
In our own means.
Absolutely.
So you were backing Hillary Clinton as the Democratic candidate. Unfortunately, she didn't make it through. Now there's Donald Trump, and from what you're saying, you're rationalizing, almost just accepting that that's who's there. So how do we work with him? So my first question is regarding business. How is Donald Trump going to benefit the African continent?
Well, I see the presidency of Donald Trump as the pro-American presidency to benefit the American businesses. We have AGOA currently in Africa, but we are lucky enough because AGOA is an agreement between American government and African government. And it's an 8-year agreement.
Yes.
It is in place right now.
Yes.
So he can't just come and rubbish that agreement and take it out, tear it apart. He can't do that.
Well, you can lobby for it, because the criticism is that Donald Trump has made it clear that he's not keen on too much trade, right? He doesn't want to make trade as easy as it was, because the purpose of AGOA was to, make trade easier between Africa and the US. And even up to now, non-oil exports out of Africa have gone up to $4.1 billion. And can we stand and confidently say that Trump is going to protect that, or is he going to try and put some restrictions to limit the trade between Africa and the US?
Surely, in our own view, well, he hasn't said any statement as is now
Yet.
the president
Right.
elect, but in our own view, he will try and push forward for the American benefit, for American companies to benefit in any way possible. But as far as AGOA is concerned, he cannot change some of the policies and agreement that are currently there in place, because he must wait for 8 years, and he must hope that he get elected in the next elections. You see, so if he get elected in elections, surely we'll push for the AGOA to go away. But at the current stage and form, I don't foresee that happening right now.
So in essence, it might be a bit too soon to project and predict what we can expect from the Trump administration.
Let's wait and see how far he can go and what it is that he has to change and what it is that he can change.
Right.
Remember, some of the things in America must go through Congress.
Sure.
It's not the president.
No, 100%.
There's an absolute power who can change
the
laws and
Republican
policies.
Senate that does.
Absolutely.
Correct. All right, so we do. We'll see press for details on that.
The devil will be in the details.
Yes, and it literally has been only just a couple of hours that we've heard who the new leader of the free world will be. So we will watch and see what happens for the African continent. Mr. Zondo, back to you and the country that you belong to, and where PYB was birthed. From my understanding, PYB is looking to branch into other parts of Africa. Tell us about this before we all get excited as youths from other parts of the continent.
Well, the time has come for Africa to unite. Now, we can't unite only in government where there's African Union. The African business people must unite. It's not a request, but it's a necessity that we should do and we must do it.
Right.
We are starting with Mozambique. We're going to be launching Progressive Youth and Business Mozambique in a few coming months.
Right.
We're currently in negotiation with Swaziland to launch Progressive Youth and Business in Swaziland. Remember, youth and business in the African continent is differs. In other countries, between the age of 35 to
I was going to say, when we talk youth, who are the youth? What's the definition?
As long, in our view, you are young business people under the age of 40 or under the age of 45, to us,
45? Still youth?
To us,
are you trying to keep yourself in that bracket?
No. But what we are trying to see is that in Africa,
right,
not all of us were fortunate enough to have a generational wealth.
Sure.
Where our family
left you some kind of estate or legacy.
Money.
Right.
Somebody called odd money.
Right.
We're not fortunate.
We're not trust fund babies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in most cases, the inheritance starts with us. We build our own wealth today.
Right.
This generation that's currently leading Africa now, these are the generation of 1976, 1980s, and 1990s. These are the people that are going to build the future economy of Africa.
Sure.
So let's give them an opportunity to do so.
Sure.
In the next 20 years, we'll see a different Africa with the young minds and the young leaders leading Africa.
Why not just call it Africans in business? Because, from what you're describing, it's like you said, a generational thing where the people that perhaps 40 years old now, they didn't have the opportunities that you just spoke of. So those aren't really youth. When we think youth, we think of those that are coming out of the matriculates. We're looking at university graduates, you know, and but it's your organization. So I mean, you defined it how you will, and as you said, each African country has its definition.
They would define it in their own perspective as
right.
a particular country
right.
as they go forward.
Right.
But all what we want, you want a united Africa, an African business forum that's truly African, that makes Africa to do business among each other.
Sure.
Let's build our own America in Africa,
sure.
where we boom in business. Because yes, we are in business
right.
and we are trading
right.
with the world, but let's trade more among each other.
Sure. Now the other thing about PYB is that it comes out of the African National Congress, the ANC, as an initiative, right? What I want to understand is, with this as its foundation, how much does it open to all African youth in business? Because the word African, if you put it in a European context or an American context, means black. The word African to African leaders also means black. So are we talking about black Africans in business, or is this open to everybody?
As long as you are from Africa, you reside in Africa, you do business in Africa, you are an African. In America, I don't foresee Americans says an American should be a person of light skin color. As long as that person is from America and was born in America, that person is an American. In our perspective, we like to believe that everybody that's live in Africa, was born in Africa, that is an African. But surely, we need to be biased to the native African. Because
I was waiting for that. You know, what you're saying sounds very politically correct, but I'm saying in reality, you know, given the history of even the party itself, you know, let's be very honest, let's be frank, you know, who is this for? Is it for the natives or is it for everybody?
It's for everybody, but let's put more attention to the natives. The native...
Putting more attention, meaning that if there were to be maybe 500 applicants of young Africans who said they needed assistance in business, you would prioritize natives?
Absolutely. In South Africa, currently, the government of South Africa have set aside 30% for small businesses and black businesses. Now, we need to cover the gap that was opened up by apartheid. In South Africa, the native South Africans don't own any land, don't own any business. Only a fraction of the percentage. So it cannot be like that. It's an insult to the native African because their land was taken away from them. The raw material under the sea was taken away from them. Under the land was taken away from them. So we need to restore the dignity of the African child and let the African business rise again. And that is possible.
So is African youth, progressive youth in business going to link business between the youth across countries, or it's to empower a young person in Angola to be able to do business in Angola and empower South African to do business in South Africa? Or is it to empower South African to do business with Angola? Do you get what I'm saying? Is it across countries, or is it initially within your home country?
Not at all. In our home country, we are doing business amongst ourselves. We are now saying, let's do business amongst ourselves as fellow Africans, rather than sisters. Because you have something that I may need as a businessman based in South Africa, a businessman in Zimbabwe, in Angola, and all other African countries. What we are saying, let's rather unite, let's communicate with each other, let's know each other, that you do exist. If I trade in rice, for an example, I'm willing to supply rice in your country. You're willing to supply manganese into my country. Let's do the intertrade as African to grow our own small economies in Africa. With that in mind, we can grow the economy of Africa before we influence the world. But let's make our base as a strong base as African business people.
Okay, we'll be back with more of our conversation on African youth in business and progressive youth in business, but just understanding more of what PYB aims to do with Mr. Malusi Zondo. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We continue in our conversation understanding how the African continent is going to benefit from organizations such as that pioneered by Mr. Malusi Zondo, which is the Progressive Youth in Business, started here in South Africa and now taking its way across the rest of the continent. Mr. Zondo, we're going to continue now in our conversation, and I want to ask your opinion on the importance of education up to tertiary education for a young African business person. It's an opportunity that's not afforded to many. So how instrumental is tertiary education when it comes to creating a successful businessman in reality?
Well, business people, by nature, they create jobs. They hire executives to run their companies. But basic education, a diploma is very important. The degree is very important to have as a business person. But we need to create jobs in every society, and the current state of our economy in South Africa, education is very expensive. I'm not privileged to other countries in Africa how much is the education cost, but in South Africa it's very expensive. We support the call for free education, but we'd like to thank the ANC government again for the work that they've done this far to introduce free education to a poor child.
Right.
And
free basic education.
No, it's free education at high school level.
Yes.
Free education at the higher level, at the tertiary level.
Yes.
It's also free if you are poor and you can't afford education. It's also free to, or it's not free, subsidized.
I was going to say, you know, we need to be clear on what free
the middle class
means,
is subsidized.
because there wouldn't be all these hashtags and movements that we are seeing over the past 2 years if that was the case.
Like the middle class is currently subsidized. If the family, both the mother and the child, both the mother and the father can't afford combined income to subsidize the education, the government comes in and subsidizes that. Sure. That was announced by the government of South Africa. For the rich child, I don't think it's fair to the state for them to have a free education. The reason why I'm saying that, remember, there's nothing for free. Somebody's paying the bill.
Of course.
Now, who will pay the bill for the deputy president's child? For example, our deputy president is a businessman. He's a very rich guy. So are you saying to me, who doesn't have a child in university, I must pay for a deputy president's child education? I don't think it's fair.
I think
those
rights,
who can afford.
Once you start separating,
those who can't afford.
But once you start separating the child of Mr. Ramaphosa versus the child of a township-raised child, probably in a child-headed home, at the end of the day, they are South African young people that should have the same rights across the board.
But
how do you differentiate between the rights of one person because of their upbringing versus that of the other? It should be a basic right. You know what I mean? It's like saying a woman who is of a certain skin tone, right?
Yellow bone.
A yellow bone, right? Has a different privilege to that of a darker toned woman. You understand? I'm trying to just probe the argument that you brought.
This is
if it's free education, it's free education.
This is my personal view.
Right.
There's nothing for free. One, somebody have to pay the bill.
Sure.
At the end of the day.
Sure.
So why do you raise government expenditure on a section of population that can't afford? Because if I am rich, I can afford to pay the school fees. If I'm poor, I cannot afford. I need government assistance.
Sure.
We are therefore saying to us that the government grant that people receive, even the rich must receive the government grant because we are all equal. It cannot be. It cannot be where the child of the rich man can receive a government grant.
How do you measure rich then? You're going to be checking people's bank statements?
No.
Are you going to check their generational wealth and see how much land the family owns? How do you decide which is a rich child?
The government have their own way of researching and assessing
every single family in South Africa.
Absolutely. They know who's rich, who's not rich. They all know who are the owners of the companies that are topping the JSE list in Johannesburg, JSE. They know. And it's public knowledge. You can Google who's Johan Robert, That's one of the richest.
No,
men
but
in
we're
South Africa.
speaking.
Who's
No,
British
but
material?
those
One of the
those
richest men in
people,
South
but
Africa.
those people are literally a minus 1% that you can check on that level. We're just talking generally. It's quite a chaotic system. I'm not saying it won't work, but I'm asking logistically, how does the government analyze the financial status of every young person? If it's a policy from government to say there will be subsidized education, I like that you use subsidized because you're correct, nothing is free. How do you monitor that? What kind of system will you need to implement to monitor that?
I believe that they do have systems in place in government right now where they assess the poor child that deserves NSFAS and a child that does not deserve NSFAS currently in place in South Africa. So I strongly believe that there will be system in place. They have South African Revenue Services on board. They have FICA, which is Financial Intelligence Center, on board. So there are means and way to assess the rich versus the poor and who deserve the free education, who really does not deserve a free education based on financial stability of that family, because that family can afford anything that they may need for a poor child. There are people in South Africa who are taking their kids to study in Oxford University overseas. Are you saying to me, government must also pay?
No, I mean, once you're out of the country, you're out of the country. I mean,
since they can afford that, surely they can afford education.
Your argument is valid. In a way, you're saying there's one pie, right? And in order to share that pie with every young person in South Africa for this subsidized education, it's got to go around to everyone. But it must be prioritized for those that need it more than others.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
As you can see, we have a lot of areas to cover as an African continent, and this program is going to take us on that journey. We're not always going to get bad news, believe it or not. There are some amazing developments that are happening on the continent. So it will be good, it will be bad, and sometimes it might be ugly. So enjoy this journey right here on Ruvheneko.